Here I've dragged a simple plucked sound in, and I've set it to single mode, got a bit of filtering, and I got a simple plucked part done up with a drum loop with a quick attack and relatively quick release. And I've enabled performance effects and macro effects. And I want to start by looking at the send effects. So we can have the signal delayed or have reverb added to it. So here we can sync based on dotted value, straight, or triplet value. And when that's off, we can set this freely with milliseconds. And I can set it to something like quarter notes. And it's very simple delay control. We get feedback so that the signal gets fed back into itself. We have some simple filtering. We have stereo mode or ping pong, and then a gain, which is kind of like a dry wet mix. So with a little bit of feedback, that'll be a little more controlled. And then for reverb, again, we have here where we can tempo sync the pre-delay if we want, and when that's off, we can just set milliseconds. A basic size control, and again, some simple filtering, and then just a gain control. So very simple and intuitive send effects. And back on the edit page, because I have macro effects enabled, when I'm on the main page, I can freely call up any of these presets and then adjust these. And I can adjust the delay and reverb sends from here. Now here I've got a single long melodic sample loaded in. Here it is with a drum loop. And so on. Now I want to look at the performance effects. So on the edit page, when we're in sound, we need to have this enabled. And with that on, when we're in the play page, or on any of the pages for that matter, we use the black notes to trigger these performance effects. So there are 11 of them together, and we use the performance effects page to adjust their parameters. Now the black notes, the C sharp and D sharp in starting in octave 3 here, and then the next octave above, those two are kind of hardwired and predefined as double time and half time, and then octave up and octave down, and then double time again for the next C sharp above that. So I'll just demonstrate those quickly. Double time, half time, octave up, octave down, and then the double time again. So those are the C sharp and D sharp, and those are simple. Now the F sharp, G sharp, and A sharp are able to be defined in the C3 and C4 octaves. So we use this drop-down menu to choose between these different effects. I want to look at the gator first. Now we can selectively turn any or all of these effects on or off simply by clicking on them to disable them, so they don't all have to be active at once. So here we set the speed, and this can be synced to tempo or freely. And here I'm just going to trigger the F sharp so you get an idea of what it sounds like. So I can do it freely or a faster rate. We can introduce noise into it to blend in, and with wet only, we can get only noise. And this is the envelope control. Very sharp attack or a little bit more hold. So how long each stutter is. This adds a 3/16 note stutter. And then we have the mix control. So if I set that lower, this adds the stutter and we get the noise blended in. So a lot of fun. Now the next one is Beat Masher, and here I have it assigned to the G sharp, and this is a lot of fun. It takes the incoming audio and it gates it and reslices it up and creates reverse effects and all kinds of fun things. So here, this buffers the audio and determines where it's going to start from. It's a lot of fun just with that control. And we can rotate to play again with where it's getting the samples from in the buffer. And wrap works for the start position. So it's independent of the length control. So here it's working with longer chunks versus shorter chunks. So a lot of fun the way it mangles the audio. And we can reverse it. And then a mix control for wet and dry. So great for mangling all kinds of samples. Now next up, I want to look at Beat Slicer, which again takes a sample and puts it in the buffer and then processes it based on the patterns and styles that we choose. And it creates a buzz effect. And here it's mapped out to the G sharp, and I'll just give you a taste of what it's like as is. So there's the buzz. And then different patterns based on the styles. So interesting patterns and styles. So different combinations. And we can optionally take 2 bars or 1 bar. And then there's optionally gating. And there you can really hear the rhythms with that. And then the dry wet control. So again, very fun and generates lots of interesting rhythmic permutations. Now next up, and I'm going to assign it to the same key, is a granular synthesis, where we can adjust the pitch of the grain that's held in the buffer, the size of it, we can have it play in reverse, and the speed, and then we can invert the playback direction, and then finally a wet-dry control. And that's fun in parallel. A lot of fun. Parameters just invite experimentation. Now, another granular playback effect is the transpose stretch. Amount adjusts the amount of time stretching. As we dial it right, it'll slow the audio down in the internal buffer until it's a single grain. Turning it left will speed it up. Size and grain interact. As we dial size left, we get larger grains in the buffer, and as we turn it right, we get smaller grains. Key adjusts the pitch of the grains. And when we turn left, the grains are pitched lower by up to 5 octaves. And as we turn right, they're pitched higher up to 12 semitones. And then again, we can use 2 bars or 1 bar in the buffer. And I've got it mapped to the F sharp here. A lot of fun. We'll continue with more in the next video.